Now, all that has been happening this evening, the president was reporting back, which is called accountability. I'm still looking forward to see the debate next week, because everybody else is making a lot of statements. But the president was accounting blow by blow on things that has been done and what we're planning to do.
I'm worried about the president. I'm worried that he is completely out of touch with reality in South Africa. He made, for the last 5 years, he spoke about growth, building dams, building and ensure that there are high-speed trains in South Africa. The ANC is not capable of building anything. In the last 30 years, they actually destroyed South Africa. Just to give another example, he told us about the opportunities, business opportunities, job opportunities for the young people. But the unemployment rate amongst the youth in South Africa is more than 60%. It is laughable. In which world does the president live? I mean, he's totally out of touch.
Something more out of Alice in Wonderland than a reality of what's really going on the ground. A laundry list of recycled projects and promises that have been made since 2018 that haven't come to fruition. We were promised crime was going to go down. It is up. We were promised jobs are going to be created. Unemployment is at record highs. We were promised that gender-based violence was going to be dealt with. It is growing. We were promised that load shedding was going to come to an end. It has got worse than it's ever been. And we were promised that the fight against corruption was going to yield results. We're further down on the corruption index in the world than we were under President Zuma. So this was a state of the nation that was very, very long on promises, very short on delivery.
I think what the president has been able to say is that it's not only about what happened over the last 5 years or so, but it's also about the investment that this government has made over the last 30 years. And I think the story of Tintswalo is a story that resonates with many, and it rebuts the idea that this government over the last 30 years has failed, precisely because if you look at any intervention that government has made over the years, in one way or another, every South African has somewhat felt the impact and the work that this government has done. And I think for me, what's even more crucial is the fact that most of these things have been done working together with South Africans.
So if we look at...
No, I wasn't impressed. Remember when we met before Sona, I said to you, this will be a repetition of things that we've seen in the past. Let me tell you about the true story of Tintswalo. Tintswalo is a 30-year-old who's unemployed, uneducated, and probably is going to die because of the high crime levels that are happening in this country. Uneducated because of the high dropout rate in matric. Uneducated because they cannot access institutions of higher learning. What the president has shown us is that a 30-year-old needs to stand up and start fighting for their future. In 1994, we might have voted for our freedom. This year, in 2024, we have to vote for our survival as young people.
He structured it. I was quite impressed. I'm sure you saw me sitting. Sometimes I was sitting on edge and say, wow. And also the narrative of Tintswalo, for example. And it's a story of what we used to call the black diamonds. That if there was no interventions of TEFSA during my days, I don't know whether your days were TEFSA, because you're definitely not the National Student Financial Aid person. So during the TEFSA days, those the first graduates in their families, the first ones to go to a university or a TVET college, who also were the first ones to get a professional job. And they are today, though the cost of living is a bit tough on them, but they are today what we call the national breadwinners, if you remember the terminology we used during COVID. And those are the ones that we say, even when there are challenges in the country, check the progress we've made. And
the message that the president tried to put across, which I believe was quite clear, is that we have achieved a lot. And the story of Tintswalo is the story of where we come from in terms of young people who are now around 30. They were born in a free country, and they had certain support from government to try and do what the constitution mandates us to do, to redress. And yes, many of the youth that are unemployed have benefited from a lot of these programs, including from programs like NSFAS. The economy has not transformed adequately to absorb them. And that is an area of breakthrough that the past 5 years also looked at. And that is why the President spoke about the YES program. Amongst others, we have introduced a novel program of teacher assistance by these young people that have degrees but were unemployed. So I think if we can be as creative and innovative, both in public and private sector, these young people can get into jobs and learn on the jobs without us seeking that they must have experience prior. Investing in these young people is investing in the booming of our economy in the next few years.
What the President has done today was to lie and mislead South Africans by making comparisons as to 30 years into democracy. This is what apartheid was, these were the realities in apartheid, and this is how the country is now. Whereas he should have been focusing on him as a president to say this is his 8th Sona that he's presenting. Now, if you look at the indicators from 2018 versus now, unemployment in 2018 was 29%, now it is in excess of 32%. People that are living in poverty were 13 million back then, now they're 18 million. If you look at the issue of the fuel prices, it was 16 rands per litre, now it is in excess of 22 rands. But he won't want to talk about those facts because it paints a grim picture on his leadership. And he further lies and undermines the intelligence of South Africans. I want to make an example about the question of state capture. He speaks about 10 years of state capture, whereas he was there as number one, as a deputy president of the country, having responsibility of deployment as part of his responsibilities. But when he speaks about state capture, he speaks as if he was not involved. And some people that are implicated in the State Capture Commission report are serving in his cabinet, appointed by him. Therefore, you've got a president that is economical with the truth because he wants to mislead South Africans.